I always hate that part.
Yeah.
It always throws me up. Oh, and the camera's right there. I screwed that up like 4 times in the last interview I did. You'll notice when Gigi, actually it comes out tomorrow.
Yeah.
But this will come out far after that.
Yeah.
Just go and watch my interview with Gigi, right? But I did not look at the camera for the first 10 minutes properly.
Well, thank you for telling me too, because I was going to look down there.
Don't worry, because she said the same thing after the interview. And see, I'm still learning how to do these in-person interviews. I don't even know how to start them properly. Right. Usually I'll just sort of jump in and be like, hello, friends. Welcome back to Love Wrestling. See what I did there?
It worked perfectly.
It's nice to see you again. Hopefully you're tuning in. And if you're tuning in for the first time, feel free to give us a like, a share, a follow, smash that subscribe button as the youths are saying, I believe. I always feel like such a douche starting these.
You know, it keeps you younger though.
It's why I try and introduce my guests as quickly as possible. Yeah. T.Y. Jackson of the RADz joining me. I hate the phrase, but like really one of the breakout guys, I think, in Western Canada, not just last year, but like upcoming year. There's some cool stuff already in the works for you. There's some cool stuff that we're going to chat about from the past year and everything in between. But first and foremost, man, thanks for being here. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. No, I'm doing well.
Good.
This is my first in-person interview that's still like recorded and stuff, so I'm very excited. It's a new format for me.
This is actually only my 3rd in-person on video interview, because when I was first doing them I only did audio because I've got a face for radio. And then I started doing them in the pandemic, obviously over Zoom, as everybody was. And I sort of figured I've got this luxurious backdrop. Of course, the Vote Garvey, we're good to go. The LPW Brainbuster Brew, some show posters.
Oh, wow.
Just got this nice little
Pikachu too. That's the most
nice little space.
Yeah.
I know you're a Pokemon guy too. Oh, we'll dive in.
Yes. Well,
we'll dive in.
I wouldn't say I'm a Pokemon guy, but I know enough to.
You know enough to carry a conversation. It's like
roasted,
it's like me and soccer.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But let's start her off, because I did, of course, solicit some fan questions here, and one of them is a very just good opening introductory question. Thaddeus Archer III, handsome individual. Who are some wrestlers that inspire you, whether now or getting into professional wrestling as a whole?
Oh gosh! So every time I answer this question, people like laugh at me because they're like, you know, every wrestler that I choose is like from the 2010s, because that's when I like recall wrestling the most. So for me, it had to be guys like CM Punk, guys like Jeff Hardy, who were like different. You know what I mean? John Cena, obviously. You know, I was a big John Cena hater when I was younger, but like now I can appreciate.
Everybody comes around on Cena. Everybody comes around.
Even like DX too. Like I say, like I was a big fan of them, but like I only caught their last kind of run in like 2009, 2010.
Like the reunion run.
Yeah, the reunion run. But I thought it was super solid, and I really enjoyed their stuff. I always liked the wrestlers that were like different and did like stuff that captivated me. So even if it wasn't like the most standard looking wrestler, you know, it was just like something that caught my eye.
Something that stood out, not your proverbial like come through the curtain, come on sort of guy. Hey. Yeah. Well, and that transitions nicely into your first run as a babyface. Yes. No,
exactly. That was exactly it. Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day, and like, yeah, that was my exact. That's how I did it. It was just come on, and it's like it's weird because like you want to do something different, but you're so like naive and so new to it that it's just the instinct. And I feel like all wrestlers have that instinct of like, come on, let's go. You kind of have to work on moving away from that. So
it's been kind of fun because now obviously things have. Like, it's a weird way to put it, almost come full circle twice, because you were a babyface for the longest time.
Way too long.
And then you were a heel for the longest time.
Yeah.
So at least with Love Pro Wrestling, it's been kind of cool, at least personally, you know, albeit the shorter babyface run. Yes. But it was cool to see you go back to that, because you can see obviously your growth over the last few years. But it was cool to see you sort of, I guess, go back to your roots, so to speak, because obviously stuff's available online. Going back and watching that in my obscene amounts of prep for this interview. It was cool to watch sort of now. How do you feel you've grown as far as that goes?
Oh man, 100%. Like it's a complete 180 change. I think going into this little mini face run that I did at LPW, I was like, being a heel before that really helped kind of figure that out, because really, like, to be a good baby face, you need to know like what a heel wants, right? And to be a good heel, you need to know what a baby face wants. So being able to do the heel character and then come back to being a face was like a complete 180, because now I'm like, okay, now I can do things differently. I'm not just doing the come on and hooray and all that stuff. It's doing that little nuanced things and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a really interesting run, and it was exciting. Playing basically 2 different characters within the same area. It was fun.
You got a lot of boos with that heel turn. It was real fun too. I really like that.
And it's funny too, because like it was unexpected, but it was also like we thought he changed, you know?
Yeah.
Some people thought that maybe I went the other side, and I'm like, psych, I got you. I'm still with my boys, you know what I mean?
Call the ambulance, but not for me.
Right? Yeah. So as much as it was heartbreaking, it was really fun to do that and kind of join back with the boys at LPW.
So like, well, obviously we'll tear her back, but when we first approached you, because you came in a little bit later, you were aligned with the RADz by that point elsewhere. What were your thoughts? How did you feel with it? Because we wanted to work together, but with the whole story definitely being different than you were working with elsewhere. What was your initial reaction?
It was interesting. I'm not going to lie, there was a little bit of fear and nervousness, only because I mean, this era of wrestling we're in, especially in Alberta, where we're doing multiple different promotions in the same city and stuff, is so new.
Yeah.
So having to navigate your character within that is like very, very tough. So I was just nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, are they just gonna like boo me? You know, I won't be able to pull this off. But surprisingly, like my match against Jack Pride, like, you know, they cheered, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And you can see that, like, you know, with different promotions tapping into completely different markets. So I think it was after that first match, I was like, okay, I'm cool with this. But leading up to it was a little nerve wracking.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that one. And then actually the one that tides me over well is I wanted to ask you about Pride. And then I got one from Zach. Are you okay after taking that the knees from Bobby on that swanton?
What a great visual, right? I'm glad they captured that photo.
You were an accordion.
Yeah. I have this issue where like my spine doesn't stay straight. And I just managed.
Well, especially not there.
The weirdest bumps ever. Yeah. It's happened like on multiple occasions where people thought I've died, and I'm like, oh no, it's just my weird back. But yeah, no, that was an interesting one. Because I was staring at Bobby, and I'm like, oh, he's a little far. And I just kind of went for
Not much I can do about it now.
Yeah. So, but they got a great visual out of it, so you know that's all that matters. But yeah, my spine's okay. Thanks for asking, Zach.
Good.
Yeah.
I think all of us were curious. Zach was just the one to finally break the ice on her.
Yeah.
How was it wrestling Bobby Sharp?
Oh, it was great.
That was my first opportunity getting to like work with him in any capacity.
Yeah, same here. Look, when I first broke in, Bobby was around, but I think he was in PWA at the time.
Yeah, because he sort of went back and forth for a bit.
Yes, yeah. And I remember going to PWA shows and watching him, and particularly the one where he was dressed up like as a girl.
Miss Lola Lodge.
Yes.
Oh, do I ever?
I talked to Bobby about it like a couple months ago when I saw him, and I was like, I was so entertained by that match. I'm like, I want to wrestle Bobby. And then, you know, I thought it wasn't going to happen because, you know, of his injuries and stuff. But I was really grateful to have that match. And he's super solid, very nice guy. And it was so easy to work with him. So
I feel like, you know, that being the first time you'd worked together, even though you guys are very stylistically, I think the same. You mentioned Lola Lodge right off the bat. And one thing I wanted to ask you is like, you're a guy who is very well-rounded as far as that goes. You're a great pro wrestler. And then you can do the silly stuff, the tales from the undercard stuff. Shout out to Rich as well, too. You can never say it without giving the copyright.
100%.
That's just doing right by the
come for your neck.
That's just doing right by the OG. Don't worry. I know it's a collaborative effort.
Exactly. Yeah.
I got you, Rich. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But is that something you consciously pushed for, or how did that sort of develop where you did expand into, I guess, being the wrestler you did be? Mm-hmm. How general of a question was that?
Oh, yeah. I got what you're trying to say. Honestly, I didn't envision myself being like doing the comedic stuff at first. I was a fan of it. I thought it was different. I thought it was fun. And I think there's a place for it in the card because it can really break up sometimes these long wrestling cards and these long nights. So, but like, it really just started with me and Rich just like enjoying doing stupid stuff and seeing what we can get away with.
Yeah.
And over the past year, we did so many things that like, I'd always tell Rich it was like TV stuff where like, you know, getting thrown into like cake or like doing like twin magic or, you know, faking like an injury angle and coming out with like a crutch and like wanting not to wrestle, like all these things that like you'd see on TV, we were able to do it. And it just made us have more fun. And I think once we had more fun, it kind of translated. So we kind of pride ourselves now on trying to separate and do something different because there's so many good pro wrestlers in this province that like sometimes I'm like, man, I can't compete with these guys. These guys are going like 100 miles an hour. So what can we do to be a little bit different and still, you know, and still pull out the wrestling when we need to pull it out, you know, not let people forget that we can actually go. But yeah.
Love it. When Rich approached you, or at least I'm assuming, maybe we can take it even back a little bit further, but when Rich approached you, is my assumption, to start with Tales from the Undercard. What's your initial reaction?
So it was funny because so Rich was doing like a little prelude to Tails on his own because he wanted to kind of do different promo things. And if you go back and watch the Tails stuff, he was like doing stuff like he had like an evil protein powder thing that he was talking to, and it was like possessing him and stuff. So he kind of got into it earlier. And then me and Rich had a match against Fandango and Mars the Specialist. And
was that your first tag match together?
Yes.
Holy cow.
That was our first tag match together. Yeah. And it happened circumstantial. Dango was hurt the night before and was able to
card subject to change, brother.
100%. But I was happy it was Rich and somebody who I was friends with and close to, that I was like, okay, we'll be fine. Even though we never tagged before. And then that was the night we started doing the tail stuff. And it really just came from us filming a promo and then just the outtakes being absolutely ridiculous and funny that we were like, let's just like make this the thing,
almost make it the outtake show.
Exactly. Yeah. Very loose, as we call it. I'm sure you've heard this term going around a lot.
Once or twice.
Yeah. We pride ourselves on it being loose and it being very disorganized sometimes. So yeah, that's kind of how it started really. And then we just realized that it was fun and nobody was watching it, but like, we were like,
well, that's not true anymore either, too.
Maybe now, yeah. But before,
I see the tweets with the 100 view club. We're exactly. Good. I got them.
Rich is on that stuff. Yeah, but, it was more so just for our own entertainment and enjoyment, and then it became something more than we were expected it to be. So,
do you have a personal favorite episode?
Oh gosh, there's
top 3. I won't limit you. That's too much of a pain in the ass.
Okay. I'll put that Dango episode first because that was like the first one. There was one where we went to Saskatchewan and we were hunting for
lizard people.
Yes, the lizard people. That was really fun. And we filmed that over like 3 or 4 days. And then the one I think we did, RADz Giving, was really fun. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So I think those are my top 3, but I enjoy them all. The
greatest hits, so to speak.
Yeah.
This has been your real, well, I guess 2023, 2022, this year has really been your first year traveling, hasn't it?
Yeah.
How's that been for you? Oh, wonderful, the obvious answer, but like getting out to new promotions, getting out to new provinces. What's 100%. The experience been like?
It's been super cool going out and doing different things and meeting like super cool people who are like really like-minded. I think 2022 in general was just a complete different year for me. It was like the year where I decided to like really step up and do a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. But just to travel and going to other places and meeting new people and talking and networking with people is like something that's like part of the business that a lot of us might get shy to, especially me, who like a little bit more introverted. Mm-hmm. It's a little tough to kind of go out and meet new people, but like once you break out of that shell, it's like so many new things and opportunities come up, and I'm just very grateful for kind of everybody who's given me that chance. So yeah.
Well, and if I'm correct here, you can fact check Judge Ben Oman himself, but when him and I were chatting, like those car rides, getting out to BEW, other provinces, other promotions, like that was sort of the genesis, I suppose, of the RADz, right?
Yeah, that's how it started. Yeah, back at MPW, we were like I said, we were all like-minded in the way that we wanted to go about wrestling. And we just gravitated towards each other. And, you do those car rides and sometimes they get long, and sometimes, that's when your personality shows. And then you really start to meet the people and you start to gel with them and see how they are. And that's how it started for the RADz, really. It was a friendship before it ever became anything official on a card or anything. Just, yeah. And particularly like this past summer when me and Rich went to Winnipeg, that was like, I think Rich was legit wanted me to die after that because he got to see the true TY, sleep deprived and annoying.
Somewhere in between hours 6 and 15, yes. Regina and Winnipeg. Yeah, that's the sweet spot.
Yeah, where I started going on my tangents about how we're supposed to. I'll save it, but we just had really stupid conversations. So that's how it really started.
We've got lots of time if you want to get off on tangents. If there's a point that you need to make in public to Rich.
I just think it will pisses Rich off so much that he wants it to die. So I'm not I might tell you off.
I'll ask him about it when he's here. I should say if he's here now, but we'll go with that. We'll go with that. Is there anywhere that you're wanting to specifically head out to? I know that Rich and the RADz have brought up BC.
Yeah, probably BC. Definitely Ontario. I'm from Ontario originally, so I definitely want to go back there.
I didn't know you were originally from there. I thought it was just a billing.
Oh
thing.
Yeah, no, officially from there. I lived there for the first 7-8 years of my life.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I grew up my majority of my life here, but I still want to go back and see where it's done. And there's so many like cool people there, and like Mark Wheeler's one that I got to talk to when he brought him in for LPW, and chatting about him about the scene there in Ontario and stuff like that was super cool. So There's just so many cool things going on in Canada right now that it's like, man, I just want to go everywhere, you know?
Why do you think that is? Because at least as an outside guy, quote unquote, non-wrestler, I guess, like you just look at the talent and I really think that there's a whole new level of drive. Maybe I think post-pandemic gets pretty cliche. You saw how hard people were working, whether it's getting on the socials, anything in between throughout it. But like, why do you think that, 2022 it was such a big, and 2023 is going to be such a big year for Canadian wrestling?
I think my theory is, at least this is me personally, during the pandemic, it was like, oh, like this stuff could really end at any moment, So I think a lot of people really took a chance to maximize opportunities because you never know, right? What could happen and stuff like that. So I think, people just really started to, at least me, I really started to think about like, okay, like I really got to go out and do stuff because you never know how much time you have. You never know how much the window of opportunity is. So you might as well kind of seize it. And then that just kind of snowballs where you just keep going and keep going. And then you realize the snowball.
You're knee deep, you're neck deep, your head deep.
Yeah.
You're just deep.
Yeah. You're deep, fully deep. Yeah. Just can't get out. Yeah. It's suffocating. But yeah.
Well, and like we were talking, I guess when we were doing the little pre-introductory recorded ramble.
Yeah.
You did get a lot of opportunities last year, and you really seized those opportunities. I think you mentioned Dango earlier. Obviously, maybe the circumstance changed a little bit. What was it like for you? I know you've talked about Johnny Nitro, Johnny Morrison, Johnny Elite, Johnny whatever. Being a hero of yours, being a dream match of yours before. What was it like getting in the ring with a guy like that?
Oh, man, it was super surreal. And I don't think it was more so the match that was, because I thought it was a great match, but I think it was how good of a human being he was.
Yeah.
You hear stories about guys coming down to the indies and then they might, not be as receptive, or, they say
nose is a little in the air, for lack of a better way to put it.
Try to say, you hear the saying, never meet your heroes and stuff, but I'm like, with him, like I'd meet him any day of the week. Like he was like super nice, like, and I think we were just like chatting like shit, as they say, and just like having fun, and he was showing us like different moves in the back and stuff, and we were just having conversations about different things. He was showing Rich how to drip stick in the bathroom. It was just like,
I think I saw a clip on that.
Yeah. It was just like, he was such a sweet human being. But the match itself was like surreal, and like the atmosphere that night was like, something that like going back and thinking about myself, like 7, 8, 9-year-old Ahmed TY, he would be elated watching him being in the ring with John Morrison. More in specific as well, my sister called me because she came to that show, and she called me and she was like, hey, like, remember when you were like 9 years old and you were in the basement, like pretending to do the Starship Pain onto me, and I would just keep moving and you just keep hitting yourself, and I'd be like, it was just a distant memory, and like, fast forward all these years now, I get to be in the room with him was insane. So
first and foremost, before I transition, that's pretty like ballsy to be trying to hit the Starship Pain. That ain't just your regular old like swanton. Even swanton's a lot, but like in comparison, geez, man.
Yeah, and like that's why my neck is probably so loose, and I'm just like,
I was gonna say, did the back issues come before? Or do you do this because you don't have a back?
It was definitely pre-wrestling without the back issues. Yeah. But yeah, like it was a great match and a great opportunity, and I was super grateful for that happening. And yeah.
I know it's always awkward to put yourself over, and I think that's a sentence I just looked at this camera. It's this camera. Yeah. I know it's always awkward to put yourself over, but like hell, that's what interviews are for. Why do you think that over the last year you've really earned those opportunities?
Oh gosh. Yeah, it is hard to put myself over. I just think that like leaving Monster Pro, I really like wanted to like go all in, because when I was there, as great as it was, like I would see like so many cool things happening here, and I'm like, man, like there's so many cool people and great wrestlers that are here that I want to be in the ring with. So like, if I want to keep up, I really have to like grind and do as much as I can. So I just think I went out of my way to really improve myself on the training, work on the character stuff, be open-minded. And I think that's what helped a lot too. So I just think, working as hard as I can. As cliche answer as it is, it's literally all I did, just trying to grind it out. And anytime I was given an opportunity, how small it was, I tried to seize it. And I think that's what leads to bigger opportunities and stuff like that. So,
what are some opportunities you're hoping for in the new year? Whether travel, opponents, whatever it may be. I'm not going to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, no, travel is definitely one. I'm trying to check off all those boxes in Canada and different promotions and stuff, especially BC. You see what they're doing down there with NEW, Russell Core Boom, like it's insane. And you can see all those guys migrating to the States, and now they're doing AEW and all these things. So it seems like that that's the next logical.
Getting pretty cool that you're almost getting like a bit of a circular loop throughout the Pacific Northwest now, hey, too, because like even Oregon's doing the same. I'm seeing Oregon Pro doing a lot of good stuff down there too.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's just a neat time.
100%. Yeah, just getting out there, traveling, and doing as much as I can, and like I said, anytime I get an opportunity to do as best as I can. So, yeah.
Let's take her back to the beginning, and I have to ask. It's going to be the hard-hitting scoop of the interview.
Okay, what is it?
Okay, why TY rather than just Ty or something otherwise?
Well, I think more people have called me Ty.
And that's what I was going to say. Let's get these cleared up.
So Ty was okay. Initially, the promoter that I broke into the business with told me that a great name would be Tyrone.
Okay.
Now take that as you may. That's what I was given. Now I was always a fan of like the initials because I thought it gave kind of a little bit of like a vagueness to it and like different interpretation to it.
CM Punk,
like CM, AJ, all these names. So I wanted to do the TY. So I took the TY out of the Tyrone part, and then the Jackson I stuck in because I was a huge fan of Michael Jackson growing up. Aside from all the stuff
in wrestling and music, you sometimes have to try and separate art from the person that was
hard.
Behind it.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yep.
But I'm a huge fan of his music, so that's why I felt Jackson, and I felt like it flowed well. But really, there's like it's not as deep as like most people think it is. I was like, okay, I'll just do this. It sounds kind of cool. And yeah,
I'm still going to advertise this as the hard-hitting scoop from the interview. Like they're going to...
a huge Michael Jackson fan? Is that what it is?
They got a clickbait. The shocking meaning behind... The shocking meaning!
Yes. Yeah.
You won't believe what TY said.
Yeah. I've had people say thank you. I had people say different, like, So there's different... Whatever you want to call me. You can call me that.
Just don't call me an asshole.
Yes, that's good. Or Ty.
Or Ty.
Yeah.
My goodness, I've heard it a couple of times at shows before, and it's kind of funny once you start to obviously get to know the people behind the wrestler. Yeah. Immediately, like you see 5 people in the crowd. What's he gonna do?
Wow. Whenever I go somewhere new and they're like, "Hey, what's your ring name?" I'm like, "Okay, so T. Period."
Just gonna say you write it out on the you write it out on the cue cards for
exactly. Yeah. And even then, sometimes people say Ty. I'm like, at this point, I'll just go by it.
As long as they're trying their best and having fun at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What's your training experience like initially, and what's your training experience like now? How do you feel they differ?
Oh, like 100% difference, I think. MPW's training was more. The basics were really good. They taught us the basics really well, but once it kind of moved past that, it was a little tough to kind of learn stuff. I credit Cato to a lot of the stuff that I learned. Because he was like literally training me every single day I was there at MPW. But once I left there and I went to join over Top Talent Wrestling, like being able to learn from guys like Harlan Abbott, MRB, was like such a privilege. And those are 2 guys too. Like when I was leaving, I was like, I want to get matches with those 2 guys because I think they're 2 of the best in this province. And I was able to do it within like 4 or 5 months of leaving there. So, but it was a completely different experience, and I definitely learned. Not just like wrestling things, but stuff to do outside the ring, how to carry yourself, how to conduct yourself and stuff like that. So I credit that a lot to Top Talent and to MRB and to Harlan for really helping me on that aspect and continuing to help me out to this day as well. Those guys I can reach out to anytime and they'll always give me the time of day, which is very appreciated. So yeah.
Love to hear it, man. When you first got told you were wrestling your first match, how long was it after you started?
2 weeks.
What?
Yeah, I did the Ripper Royal, which was so every time I think about that match.
Is that the one with the dildo in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That almost happened. Yeah.
I was there.
The key is to when the dildo comes is to get out. That's what I was like.
There's no strategy.
Yeah.
Get out of the effing way.
Yeah. I remember our last Ripper Royal that we did. It was like us and it was me and the rest of the RADz, and we were like, okay, how can we get out of here as soon as possible? And then once you see like the weapons come out and like the sharp objects, I'm like, get me out.
Petering out.
Get out. We're all just like rambling over the ropes. That was like the first match I did, but officially it was about a month after. So really fast. It was really accelerated. And luckily it was like a tag match and there was a few people there to help me out. But yeah, it was really quick and really nerve-wracking, but I don't think I was ready. I don't think anybody's ready.
Nobody's really ready for their first of anything. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, by no means is ring announcing a comparison, but like, frick, I think you were even there on the first show I ring announced, and I was shitting bricks.
Yeah, and I think
didn't call you Ty though.
Yes, you had that over everybody else. But I think it's like
that's for you to say, not me.
Yeah. I think it's like any form of entertainment though. Like the first time you're doing it is tough, but like which is not, now I'm happier to see like all the training schools here in Edmonton, like giving people a little bit more training before they get into the ring.
It's so silly to say, but like great fundamental training is fundamental.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to have it,
especially in a business where safety is like number one, right? So
not even just safety for yourself, safety for others is almost a bigger thing. If you do something dumb and you hurt yourself, that's on you. That's just a shitty receipt to have to get sometimes.
And especially me too. I can do something dumb and I'll be fine. I'll land on my head and I'll just get up right away. But can't say the same about my opponents. So I don't want to put them in that position.
Man, we should just get a chiropractic sponsor for this podcast specifically for you. Just send you a couple of times. I want to get a
compilation of all the times I fell on my head and like just put that out and be like, you can do anything, as long as you break your neck doing a starch pain as a kid.
Just do your neck bridges for the next few years of your life, and hopefully you'll be okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
After that.
Yeah.
When did you and the RADz first start to decide that you wanted to officially like work together as a group?
I think it started kind of maybe when we were still with MPW, because we were doing stuff with BEW and we were like pitching the idea of like, hey, let's try to see this faction, it'll work. And that never panned out. So I think it really started happening once we were about to leave MPW. We were like, yo, now we have an opportunity to work with each other in a different capacity because we wrestled each other a million times.
I was going to say, because like Mitch and Larry were still feuding, if I remember right, when you all made the decision to leave.
Yeah, me and Rich were feuding too. And so, yeah, we were all like,
Well, yeah, that's right, because you were provincial champ up until like pretty well you left, if I remember right.
Yeah, I held that title for like over a year and I defended it twice. Thanks, COVID. But people always say, just say you held it for a year.
Hey, man, Okada didn't defend it all that often.
That's fair. That's fair. Right? But yeah, so me and Rich were feuding. Mitch and Larry probably had the best feud in MPW, I think, and Mitch had the best heel turn, I think.
That was the first time, I was just going to say, that was the first time I ever in person saw garbage get thrown in a ring.
Yes, yeah. So
I remember that one vividly.
Yeah.
I covered that one for the Win Column Sports Network.
Well, yeah, it feels like ages ago, huh, Win Column?
Ironically enough, so the interview that you and I first did was the third last interview that I did with Win Column.
Oh, wow.
You were followed up with Duke the Dumpster Drosy.
Oh, nice.
Just so you know.
Okay.
This is now going to be the third interview released. It's again, this is all coming full circle.
Full circle.
Simpatico, I believe it is.
But yeah, so going back to the question, so like, yeah, we were feuding with each other like consistently. And then once we started doing more car rides together and really like appreciate and like we realized we all have the same type of like comedy and this same type of like I guess aspirations for wrestling. So like, why don't we try making this a faction, and that's when we first started talking about it. And I think LPW is really when like the first idea started coming out. Albeit I wasn't there, but like knowing that it was happening, I was like, this is great, and then the stuff happened with me and Rich kind of just happened organically. And then, so it just really happened. Like it was a slow little burn. But I'm glad it was built up the way it did. And I'm glad that it's happening because, I mean, very few times you get to have a faction with friends and actually, get paid to wrestle with your friends is a dream, right? For most people.
Well, and there aren't a lot, not just Alberta, but like at least throughout Canada. And there are some, but there aren't a lot of like traveling factions. You'll get tag teams and you'll get individual wrestlers that go out and about, but like it's very rare that you see a full group of 4 or 5 people all going out to the same shows, all being part of the same group still.
100%. And that gives credit also like the promoters too for giving a chance on us really to bring us all out. But like even like when 1 or 2 of us isn't available, I think we've built the group up in a way where like we can just kind of pluck 2 of us if needed.
I saw the video with Mitch in the Arctic.
Yes, exactly. Right. He was all alone there. Right. But like you see with like me and Rich tagging and Rich and Larry tagging in LPW. I think Rich is like the official tag specialist now, even though he used to hate tag wrestling.
I've heard him say that a couple of times.
Yeah. And it's like it's the funniest thing because it's like look how the world turned out. You hate tag wrestling, now all you do is tag wrestling. But yeah.
What are your thoughts then? Like you're a bit of a tag specialist. You're a very long run. Was it 5th or 6th longest running tag team champions of all time?
5th, I think. I'm going to say 5th. It might be 6th.
Let's go with the 5th. Worst case scenario, exactly. Like we can bump it down in like a little tweet sent out at midnight if we have ever got to fact check that one. But like what are your thoughts on working so often as a tag team guy, quote unquote?
Yeah, it was. So like when me and Rich first started tagging, like even going back and watching the videos, you can see we tried to make a good point that we were in a tag team.
The champions of friendship.
Yeah, exactly. Because we legit didn't want to be in a tag team. Like legit, like I was like, I don't want to say done with tag wrestling, but I had tagged with Big Ben when I first got to MPW, and then I started tagging with KB6.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is like, I have a chance to now do things alone.
It's a clean break.
Exactly. Yeah. But now that I think because of how organic it is, I'm enjoying it. If it was forced, I think it would have been something where I'm like, this is, but like, cause it's so organic and it came naturally, I'm enjoying it. And like, it's been good. And like I said, like, I have opportunities to wrestle to tag, but I also do single stuff too. So I'm kind of like in that sweet spot where I can kind of do both. And not kind of hate the tag wrestling, but it is really good on the body, so
I was listening. Yeah. I think it was an interview you did with Goose. Where you're like, sometimes the craziest stuff I have to take is a suplex.
Yes,
like that sounds comparatively in wrestling, pretty okay as far as it goes.
Falling on your neck, I keep bringing it back. Especially when you're falling on your neck in your singles matches, suplexes and tag matches are perfect. Yeah,
we're good to go. We'll just peter those down. Yes. Take a big one every once in a while.
Yeah.
Let the kids know you can still do it.
Exactly.
So to speak. Like you said though, and we've talked about a couple of times, like, you work great as a group, but I think everybody brings something individually great, but nobody's here to hear me talk about the RADz. What do you think everybody individually brings to the group?
Oh, it's crazy. Like we're all kind of different and similar in the same way. Like Mitch in himself, I think he brings like a whole like different like background when it comes to his MMA and stuff. So he has that in the bag, but he also like, he's a really funny guy and he can really like turn up and be completely goofy. So he kind of brings that like that shoot submission style to wrestling, which is like very, very handy, especially when you have a group of idiots, you need people to choke somebody out. Rich is surprisingly really technical. He's a really technical guy. Like I always, when I see him wrestle, I always think of like Kurt Angle, or I think of Eddie Guerrero or something. He's like very technical with his stuff and he really prides himself on that. Larry, aside from like living in his car, Larry,
sometimes
it's the best joke, isn't it? It's like the best ongoing bit, and we're trying to get that in everything.
I had this conversation when Pride was on here, but like the fact that we were able to build an entire match around like, is Larry here?
Yeah. And Larry seems to be
and successfully pay it off. Right? Like the amount of bits, he's just been thrown into.
Yeah.
And fully committed to is just a full testament to that guy.
That guy the hardest time, and like never once has he ever been like, no, I don't want it. Like he just like is all in, even though we're roasting him about his housing situation, about him disappearing.
I remember the one you were doing, and I can't remember what the situation was, but you just see Larry in the back literally just swiping right on Tinder.
On Tinder, yeah. He has many names. He has Tinder Swipe Terry. We call him Bumbleback Barry, Hinge Match Harry. He has a lot of different names. But
I'm so sorry that this is being publicly revealed, but mostly I'm not.
Yes, it's so funny. No, I love it. And I'm sure most people have heard us talk about it.
I'm going to get Larry when we do this. I'll make sure I get him on last, just so he can hear all of these. And
everybody's saying everything.
And then again, back to the clickbait. Exactly. Lumberjack Larry shoots hard on Alberta wrestling.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, getting all angry. But Larry brings that energy. Like he's like the light of the RADz. I always say, like whenever like we might be having a bad day, Larry just comes in with that like cup of coffee of his, and he's just smiling, super elated about everything. He's like, he legit like holds the group together. So and even in the ring too, he's very talented. I think he's really underrated. Did I go over everybody yet?
Well, we can throw Judge Ben Omen into there if you want to put over.
He's gonna kill me because I forgot him. No, Judge is like Ben. He's like I would say he's the like, even though he's our manager, he's like legit like the guy who we go to for anything when it comes to Alberta wrestling. Like, there's times where I go to Ben for like ideas and stuff, just even like wrestling ideas, and he's like such a great mind.
I was just going to say,
such a great mind for it, and like even when it comes to like acting and stuff too, just trying to be like a better performer. Like I always go to Ben because he's like the performer of the group. And
dude, he can cut a promo.
Dude, he's the best promo definitely in the group, and like one of the best promos in Alberta, I think, because like I said, his background just in like the theater and the acting and stuff, and translates so well to wrestling.
And the commitment. You talk about people who give a shit about pro wrestling, that dude gives a shit about pro wrestling.
Yeah, he's legit the backbone of the group. And he's like, the guy too I go for a lot of things, not even just in wrestling, but in life too. And I can say a thing about most of the RADz too, where I can just go to them about anything, even if it's not wrestling related. So yeah, there's a plug for the group, even though I hate their guts, but there you go.
I was just going to say, well, I might hate one of them a little bit more. Yes, I've got a question from Judge Ben Omen himself.
Oh, wonderful.
Can you do some magic?
Yeah. Gosh, I hate
you. Also asked, I'm sure you've seen me poking around. I've got like a deck of cards here somewhere.
Do you have a deck of cards?
I do have a deck of cards.
Oh, gosh. Is that why the deck? Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was on the counter. I forgot to put it in my pocket because I was worried about heating up the water for the tea. It all spiraled. It all spiraled.
So you want to hear a little secret about this?
Of course.
I actually can't do magic at all. I think it was the RADz Miss Christmas. You can open this?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah, okay, because it's sealed, and I don't know if I wanna.
No, they're new cards. My other ones that I usually use, they all have dog facts on them. I shit you not.
Okay.
But I figured that if we needed them for visual purposes, all anybody would be looking at, rather than, of course, the magic would be, what's that dog fact?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. So a little background while I'm horribly attempting to open these cards up. We did this RADz Miss video, and I brought a deck of cards because we were doing like a gift exchange.
Yep.
And then I just told everybody that I know how to do magic. And now it's like the ongoing bit in Tales and apparently I've met David Blaine on White Ave, and he's taught me magic, and I've been to his place. So my goal is to get David Blaine booked. Somehow, some way, I'm going to figure it out. Even if it's like 10 years from now, I'm going to figure when he's old and he's like done and he's taking bookings.
Have you ever looked on Cameo for that sort of stuff? Because let me tell you, there's a lot of good options on there. What I used to do is I'd find like, I hate the phrase, but like the B-list, C-list celebrities, and I'd pay them like $5 or $10 to roast my friends at the start of fantasy hockey season.
Oh, if I could do that and get it in Tails or something.
So if you can, yeah, you can. Once you get it, you own it.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, I'm gonna do a little. I don't know any card tricks, but I'm gonna like try to shuffle this. So let's see how this works out.
Good luck. This is T.Y. Jackson. This is a Love Pro Wrestling exclusive.
Yes. All right. So perfect deck cut in half.
Excellent. You can do more with a deck of cards than I can.
That's all I can do.
All right.
And
all righty.
There you go, Ben. Thanks for exposing.
Consider me impressed. Because let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I can't shuffle a deck of cards.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to turn my volume off.
Yeah.
I hope that's not anything important.
Yeah. But that's it. And screw you, Ben, for asking that question, because he knows I don't have the method.
I had to ask.
Yeah.
These are the questions that the fans wanted to know.
Okay.
That's what the fans wanted to know.
Fans, not you, fans.
Oh, I wanted to know too.
Okay.
Do you think I wasn't intrigued as soon as Ben was like, "Can T.Y. do magic?"
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Love to see that. I'm a big America's Got Talent fan.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's a great show.
Huge America's Got Talent. What are you watching right now?
On Netflix?
Anything.
Stuff like that? Okay. I actually recently got into The Blacklist. I don't know if you've ever watched it. It's really good show. It's like this crime FBI thing, which is like a million shows about them. What else am I watching? I started watching Wednesday.
How is it? I haven't watched it yet.
I've only seen like 15, 20 minutes of it. But I heard it's really good. So I'm watching more of that. And then I just like watch like Superstore and Brooklyn Nine-Nine on like loop all the time. And I'm like, I want to watch something new, but I just like, my controller just went to Superstore. So I enjoy a lot.
You scroll through everything and then you go back to Superstore. That's got to get back on the rotation. I'm ripping through King of the Hill right now.
Oh, are you? Yeah, great show too.
It's been great.
Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
T.Y. Jackson.
Yes.
If people want to watch you professionally wrestle here in the near future, whether online, whether on the Twitter machine, whether any of the social media machines, where can they do so? How can they find you?
Okay. I'm not trying to mess this up. So they can find me on Instagram.
It'll all be in the description too. Don't worry. So if you do,
thank you.
If you do, we'll be good to go there.
Like completely different. Yeah. It's on Instagram at T.Y. Jackson, periods between the T and Y. And then on Twitter is the same thing, but with just underscores. So T_Y_ Jackson. You can find everything I'm doing there. But yeah, Love Pro Wrestling at the end of the month. 27th. There we go. 27th. They say I said it in keys for anybody.
I don't know if you saw. So.
Yeah.
So I uploaded the Screez and Beazle match from Appetite for Destruction, or Appetite for Wrestling, sorry. I uploaded that to YouTube, but I just like wrote Screez and Beazle match so I could start to send it off to everybody and all of that, and Hot Sheet Pop in the DMs.
Yeah.
But I didn't recognize it on Facebook. Like, it doesn't change the hyperlink if you've uploaded. So it was up there for like 2 days.
Oh, that's
the Screez and Beazle match. And I popped myself and then thought I got to change that.
Exactly.
I got to change that. I'm excited. I guess give me your thoughts, because I don't know if you've been in the ring with any of the individuals.
None.
That you were wrestling.
None of them.
Let's run them down. You're in there with Levi Knight.
Yes, correct.
Rose.
Yeah.
Michael Allen, Richard Clark.
Yes.
And Liza Hall.
Yes.
Thoughts, comments, concerns,
excitement.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. it's always cool to like wrestle with people that you've never been in the ring before. And like a scramble match is unique because you can kind of tick off all those boxes in one kind of setting. But everybody there is like seems super talented. You know, I've known Michael and Richard Clark for a long time. Levi Knight, I've met any of the girls yet, so I'm very excited to having matches with them.
Oh yeah, I don't know if Liza was on the card.
Yes, I don't think I was on that card. Yeah, so yeah, I'm very excited to step in with them and see what he can do. Hopefully, I'm not the most hated man in the match, but I think I'll be. As long as I got Judge Ben in those disgusting shorts.
Well, especially after you just picked up your first win over Son of Irish.
Yes, good old SOI. Yeah, he's Son of Irish is like I have a soft place in my heart for him because like when I started wrestling, back in like 2017, he was there and he was like such a young kid, but he was like super talented and very.
He still is.
Yeah. Back then he was really young. But being able to see what he's doing now and like being legit the most over babyface in this province is insane. And I'm so excited for him to see where he goes. But yes, as soon as I got the RADz behind me, I seemed to get a dub. So I guess I'm doing something right here, right? I tried to go it alone and then it didn't work out. So get the boys behind you. And like I said, Judge Ben and those dirty shorts of his that he has on.
What was it? Was it Letarian Milton? It's fun to do bad things with your friends.
Exactly. It's so fun to do bad things. I just want to do hood rat stuff with my friends or something like that.
Somebody sent that as like a reply in the group chat the other day. And it's always nice when you get like a callback pop.
Yes.
Exactly. I had forgotten entirely that existed.
Yeah. So
real big one. Real big one. That'll be a good one. It'll be a good night for the RADz on January 27th at the Rec Room, South Edmonton Common. If you want to come check out T.Y. Jackson in a Scree Zambezel match, if you want to check out the RADz defending their LPW Tag Team Championships against Para Lira, and if you want to check out Mitch Clark, the mean, magnificent, marvelous individual, accompanied all, of course, by Judge Ben Omen.
That's right.
Defending the LPW Challenge Championship against the aforementioned Son of Irish. Make sure you head to twitch.tv/LoveWrestlingCA because we are C's oldies out.
Yeah, C's oldies out.
That's how we say it, right?
Exactly.
I'm getting better. Ben's going to be proud of me for that one.
So happy. Now, one last thing, though, before we go.
Of course.
I think you've earned this.
Really?
It's like, I just left you hanging.
You should be tuned into Love Pro Wrestling on Twitch. I'm gonna hopefully you're gonna see an awkward camera cut there.
Yes.
What happened?
Yeah. We can get like a camera cut of like
Poochie returned to his home planet and died. And Spencer and TY touched tips as the RADz do.
Exactly.
You should be tuned in on twitch.tv for the third attempt at this because we are sold out for the show itself. But make sure you either tune in, pick up your season tickets so that you're there for the rest of the year, or just pick up your event tickets for LPW 12, event name to be announced. This one's coming out before the show, so I can't announce it yet. But we know the branding.
Yes, we do.
It's neat.
It's solid.
That's what you get. That's what you get when you drop by.
Yeah.
Get to find out cool things.
Exactly.
And I get to find out cool things about my guest on the show, T.Y. Jackson. Yeah. Thanks for coming over, man.
Well, thank you for
having me. It was great. I appreciate it. It's my pleasure. Yeah. I've got a box of chocolates.
Yes.
I got a box of chocolates in the cabinet now. Two great things ended up happening out of this. Exactly. Hopefully 3 ended up happening. Hopefully you subscribed, liked, shared, smash that button, whatever you got to do in order to continue to stay tuned to Love Wrestling, wherever videos are played, audio is listened to, or wherever awesome content is created by awesome people. For T.Y. Jackson, I've been Spencer Love. See you on the next one.